Hi, everybody. So, we're beginning our 5 week journey of discovering our quantum selves, as the title says. And so, I wanted to begin by really marking the time and the space and setting sacred space here for all of us, creating a dome, a golden dome of energy and protection and expansion and knowledge in which each one of us who's participating here will be able to step fully into what's on offer for us, particularly at this time where we are, what's going on for us. So I always, when I do my healing work, and any time I'm doing healing work, or even in my own life, it's always about connecting with the higher self and asking that higher self to bring through just what's needed and to have this partnership. And we're going to be going into that more in the session. But for each of us here, each of us has a soul journey. And each of us is going to get slightly different things from this class. And so the intent then is to set a beautiful sacred space in which each of us can receive just what we need, and in so doing, sharing that with the others, and so that we all get kind of a different perspective on what's being offered. So I'm going to use a beautiful shamanic type ceremony that I first sort of stepped into when I was doing a bit of studying in the Peruvian shamanic tradition. And while I've stepped into more of this quantum understanding and more of the psycho-spiritual realm that has more influenced my work, I love this ceremony, and I love the idea of calling in the directions and the energies that are there, not just here on Earth, but the entire kind of the universal concept of what's available to us. So as we begin, that's where we're going to go. So just get quiet, create a sacred space around you as you watch and listen. So here we go, we begin. And so I invoke the energies of the south. And the south direction represents the emotions. It represents the waters. And the totem for this direction is Sachamama. And she is the water boa. And as we enter this time of study and self-knowledge, we are sort of like that water boa who slithers along the bank and then slides into the watery depths. And so we invoke the energies of the south direction to be with us, to be with our group, to assist us in diving into and sliding into the watery depths of our own emotional body. All that we are bringing forward into this space tonight, we've each been imprinted in a different way. And so help us to navigate these waters as gracefully and as effortlessly and as smoothly as Sachamama, the water boa, slides through the dark, watery depths. Be with us as we go into those depths within our own being to reveal what's there, to release what is no longer useful, but to bring light and awareness to all that has shaped us and made us who and what we are. And we appreciate and give thanks for all the waters of life, the birth waters on which we were ushered into human life, the water that cleanses us and washes us, the water that gives us nourishment and life and refreshes us, the waters in which we play and enjoy the freedom of enjoying the waters of beaches and lakes and pools as we go back to the origins of our own watery element and watery beginnings in the womb. And so we invoke the highest essence of the direction of the South to be with us, to cleanse us, to refresh us, to allow us to play, to allow us to slide through those watery depths of emotion. And like the water boa, the Sachamama, to shed our skin, the skins in which we are sitting now, to be able to scrape away this layer as it is worn out, to reveal that which is fresh and new beneath the old worn out layers of who and what we have been. So we give thanks for your presence with us here in the weeks to come, and be with each one through the days and the nights of this time as we grow together. And to the west, the direction of the west, it's the direction of the Rainbow Bridge as we cross into the unknown, or into the small deaths of how we have been, of what has been marking our lives, perhaps in unpleasant or difficult or challenging ways. Help us to cross that bridge into the unknown of who and what we can be. We may not see who we can be, but it's there. It's embedded deeply within us, like a seed that's ready to grow. And watered by the waters of the South, we're going to allow that seed to germinate, to expand, and to grow. Give us courage as we walk into the unknown places of ourselves. It's the place of Mother, Sister, Jaguar, that beautiful, strong, sinuous black cat of the jungle. Be with us as we navigate the jungle paths. You who see into the dark places, who tread your way gracefully and effortlessly through the jungle pathways, finding the way through the entanglements of the vines and the overgrowth. Be our guide as we walk into these places in ourselves to get to that destination of openness and of freedom and expansiveness on the other side of the bridge from where we are now into more of who and what we are. We give thanks for your presence in this sacred circle with us here tonight, today, every day, always. Remind us of your presence, that you are a guide, a protector, and a companion. We can even feel the warmth of your muscular body with the rough coat as we put our hand on you to guide us as we take these steps. We give thanks. So it is. And to the energies of the north, the place of the mind, as we turn our faces to the cold, icy north with high, jagged peaks of knowledge and understanding. Allow the icy wind of fresh, new understanding and awareness to blow through our minds, blowing away the stickiness of old beliefs and old thoughts and old ways of seeing ourselves and old ways of believing in limitation and lack and struggle. Guide us as we expand our minds and our knowledge base and understanding, so that we can integrate that understanding into the depths of our beings. It is the place of the hummingbird. You who are not even built to be able to fly, and yet you make the journey of 1,000,000 miles, soaring through the skies, finding food as you go. Teach us to feed in flight. Teach us to feed on the sweetness of life, seeking out the sweet things to give us nourishment, to give us strength, to give us joy as we navigate the seemingly impossible journey to our own inner awareness, awakening, and enlightenment. And remind us that just like the hummingbird, when you turn to the light and your iridescent colors shine so brilliantly, that we too have iridescent colors. Remind us to turn to the light and remind us to allow our brilliance to shine. We give thanks for this fluttering, joyful presence around us and for the icy wind that blows through our mind, blowing away the ideas and bringing in new, fresh understanding and knowledge. Thank you. Aho. And to the direction of the east, this is the place of fire, of passion, of our own spirituality, of our own inner passion and our fire inside that burns brightly in us, spurring us on to more, to discover and to grow. It's the place of the rising sun. And remind us that every day the sun arises, and allow the sun of new passion and new fire and new life and new awareness to come and rise within each of us every single day, in every single moment. Allow us to feel the warmth of that sun in our inner being as we navigate these new understandings and new truths and discover more about ourselves. Give us that sense of passion and excitement about what's possible and where we can go. It's the place of the eagle and the condor. You magnificent beings who soar so high, closer to the sun than we can ever reach. And yet, as you soar and play and glide among the currents, you have the keen insight and vision to spot the smallest mouse or rabbit that you need for nourishment, for sustenance, for food. Help us to have that awareness even as we soar the heights of these new understandings and this expansion of our spirit, expansion of our minds and brains and bodies, and our willingness to even soar high above the circumstances of our lives. But keep us mindful and keep us aware so that we can dive in and take the opportunities in this life that are being presented to us. Teach us to soar like you do, wingtip to wingtip with great spirit, in beauty and in strength and in awareness. We give thanks for your presence here with us during these weeks to come. Aho. And to the great above, the star nations, the planets, the cycles of the planets as they rotate. You give us light. You give us light in the day with the sun, the light of the moon and the stars at night, guiding our paths. And in truth, we are made of the dust of stars in our bodies, in our world. We are all one and part of this great universe of light and moving bodies. Remind us that not only are we in our own small life orbit, we're part of the orbit of the earth that's happening so quickly that we don't even realize that we're spinning. And then remind us when we feel like we're spinning out of control or in confusion, that we're spinning in greater and greater orbits as the earth goes around the sun and the sun takes its part around galactic center. It's all part of the ever-increasing flow of the divine plan that is unfolding, and we are part of that. Remind us that even though we are insignificant when looked at upon that scale, we are part of it, and we are an important part of it. Help us to flow. Help us to allow the orbit, allow the changes, and allow the shifts, and settle us when we feel like we're spinning out of control. We give thanks for your guidance, for the guidance of the astrologies and the planetary shifts and changes that orchestrate and give order to our evolutionary experience. And to the great below, our Mother Earth, Pachamama. Forgive us when we have walked and trodden mindlessly upon you, fouling you, disrespecting you. Remind us that you are indeed the mother of our humanity. You feed us, you clothe us, you give us form through the minerals that make up our body. And we are part of your children, that great family of life upon this planet. The minerals, the plants, the animals, the birds, the crawling ones, the swimming ones, and the two-leggeds, us. Help us to understand once again it is part of great cycles of flow and movement and growth. Help us to relax into the fact that our mother is supporting us in our humanity, and to rest upon her, and to allow our bodies to receive the sustenance from her, from standing on the earth, from feeling the warmth of sun on our faces. Allow that to renew our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And we give thanks for your presence and your sustenance as we go through these changes. Thank you for your presence. And finally, to the great within, great spirit, the void of all possibility, the mind of source, that is the source of all that is, and yet it all sits there in potentiality until we interact with it and call it forth. Open a space within us. Allow the great void of all that is to take up its residence within us. Open a space within us for more possibility to come through. Allow us to feel that centering, to feel that home space within us as we go through these changes and these growths that we're undertaking in the next weeks. We thank you for the gift and the possibility of change. We thank you that we are indeed limitless beings, and we thank you for escorting us into a greater and greater knowledge of the truth of that and how it actually can play out in our lives. So we breathe into that now, inviting source of all that is to make its presence known in our being as we feel ourselves open and expand into greater possibilities for ourselves, for our lives than we have ever dreamed possible. And we give thanks for all of this coming forth now. And we feel it as it expands and creates a beautiful bubble of connectedness and protection around our entire group, around our loved ones, and around each of our homes and our worlds where we work, the people with whom we associate, just shadowing all of that with this wonderful bubble of light and grace as we go forward. And we give thanks for that. So it is. So it is. So, we've had a couple of talks where I took you onto a little journey out into the quantum to kind of see what's out there. And the idea being to start expanding our minds, expanding our abilities, expanding putting the idea into our brains that we're more. And so now that we've done that, we've kind of taken a peek out there, we're going to come back in. We're going to bring that sense of awareness back into here. Because now we're going to unify out there and in here and learn how to become one with that and to use our understanding and our connectedness to learn to co-create in a very beautiful and powerful way. This really is teaching us how to partner with our own divine self. And so I wanted to go back and just kind of maybe even put out a different idea about the goal of this class. So one of the goals, and the big goal really, is to understand how our thoughts create our reality. Obviously, we've all been told this. And oftentimes it sets up kind of an agitation and a nervousness because how, oh my gosh, I'm creating all the wrong thoughts. I'm messing it up. And but now we're going to understand how, and we're going to find ways to calm down and to see what's showing up on the screen of our lives so that we can change what shows up there and understand and not be afraid that we're creating the wrong things and we're messing up the whole thing. So a lot of the goal is to get rid of the fear, to calm ourselves and become more adept at co-creation, understanding where it's coming from, resolving the sort of the disconnect within us that has allowed us to create perhaps less than delightful scenarios. Because beyond that goal is the ultimate goal, I believe, of all human life in this experience, which is to bring forth and fully embodied our total perfected essence. And I'd forgotten about that term. And it came to me earlier in the day when it actually popped into my head while I was conducting a breath session for a client. It just popped into my head. And this is a term that my teacher, Dr. Hector Garcia, used in working with me. And this is something that he uses and he teaches. The total perfected essence of you. And I almost like that more than the higher self or the divine self because it brings it a level closer. It feels to me like it makes it a little bit more attainable and really feels like it lands. What does the total perfected essence of me look like? And I believe that's the adventure that we're on. That is the goal of human life, is to see how much can I embody that? How much space can I give to that essence, to that energy, and still stay in human form without exploding in a mess of light particles all over the place? That's the adventure. That's the challenge. So we went to the field way out there to get get an idea of the magnitude of really what we're working with, to start getting more conversant with that idea so that we are able here to open up and allow that to embody us. Every cell of our body, in a way, we can even think and imagine that every cell of our body is like a little microcosm of that quantum field of all that is. And so you might remember that I shared a vision on the teleconference, and it's on the audio, where I was sitting in the backyard in the sun, and I just went into this space where I just saw this amazing, infinite field, like an undulating, like the surface of an ocean in the middle of the ocean, undulating a field of like a web of interconnected particles of light and information. And it became like a living tapestry. And within that tapestry, there were patterns that arose, figures, bodies, landscapes. And this is kind of the universe, my total perfected essence, showing me a picture of how we can imagine the quantum field to be. And so I was playing with that. And so go back and listen to the audio and play with how that feels and how you can just kind of get in and dance with it and start seeing yourself and your world as this undulating field of light that changes at every moment. And we're going to learn that our thoughts, every thought that we have, actually is like a pebble being thrown into that web as if it's a body of water, and it ripples out and changes everything. And so when we send our intent and our desire into our world, change actually does happen. And so we learn to watch what we throw out. And we know that we have the partnership and the guidance and the infinite container of love of that total perfected essence for its little human package that it's dreaming up. So when we understand those kinds of concepts, it makes us more able to, with less effort, more smoothly and fluidly to start creating change in our lives. We can even change our bodies, change our whole lives. There's nothing that cannot be changed. And this is all, again, what I learned when I danced with the breast cancer thing. This is where it took me. And we'll continue in that as we go through the 5 weeks of this course. So I also shared that a vision that I had. And this was a few years ago. I was sitting on the couch and it came back to me as I was preparing for this class. And the vision was of 3 layers. And I've addressed this a little bit in the audio too, so you can review that. But I want to bring it in here because it's really where we're working. We kind of went out to the top layer, this beautiful light layer of space and possibility. That was the quantum. We're coming back down. And so the vision was that that I saw like Earth, just kind of this band of little humans scurrying around, doing what humans do, working, playing, doing all kinds of things. And then above that was a very thick, dark, dense layer that looked like dark clouds. And that is the layer of thought, of belief systems, of all of the mass consciousness of every thought every person has ever or will ever have. So all of the ideas, it's like this whole layer is populated, it's alive with all the thoughts and all the beliefs and all the judgments that everybody holds and has. And this is kind of sitting down on us. And then above that is this beautiful, expansive, you can almost feel the lightness of being, as if the molecules have just expanded into just this wonderful, expanded light feeling. And so as we go through our efforts to awaken, to grow, to change our thoughts, to change what's showing up in our lives, to change the pathway that we've been walking, because we know there's something more. We are sort of trapped by this layer of conditioning, of thoughts and of ideas and beliefs. And as part 2 of this recording will pick up, we often then try to take pot shots at it. We attack ourselves. These are the judgments. These are the anger at ourselves, the fighting that we try to break through these things. And the vision that I saw was of people shooting their guns at this. In some cultures, at holidays, 4th of July, New Year's, they shoot their guns into the air. And the authorities warn against that because what goes up comes down and people can get killed. But then the vision continued, and I saw a firework being launched from a rocket launcher, and it just effortlessly went through that thick cloud layer, and then it exploded as the fireworks do in a beautiful explosion of particles of multicolored light, and it rained down on top of this thick, dense cloud cover, dissolving it as it goes. And so what that brought to me was the idea that in order to create the changes, we first go out and connect with that beautiful higher self that we are. Just simply through faith, and that's the rest of the talk. How do we get there? And then we allow that information to come down and dissolve that layer that is supposedly has been keeping us in limitation. So now you can go to the second half of this recording for the continuation of this process. To be continued.